All right, full review of the whole Sandman series. If you've been following any of these videos, you know that this is a 5 out of 5 for me. If you like Neil Gaiman and haven't read comics before, this is the perfect place to start. There are horror elements to this series, but it has more of a classical feel, the way he mixes mythology, history, literary archetypes, fantasy tropes. If you haven't watched any of my previous videos about the Sandman, the main character is Morpheus. He's the personification of dreams. He is the Lord of Dreams. Him and his siblings are the Endless. They are each anthropomorphic personifications of these concepts: death, delirium, destiny, destruction, despair, desire. The art and genres of these books differ from book to book. I mean, just compare these 3 versions of Dream and these 3 versions of his sister Death. You can see that it varies widely. Gaiman mentioned in one of the afterwards, I think, that he wanted it to feel like dreams themselves. It runs the gamut. You can have all kinds of different experiences. He didn't want it to be just one thing. And I think that shows up in the artwork, that shows up in the kind of stories he tells. You can also tell that Gaiman made a consistent effort to work collaboratively with each artist. This gives the Sandman a real exciting feeling because you never quite know what you're going to get. Is this going to be a continuous arc? Is this going to be a short story collection? Would I see characters that had been introduced earlier? Would I see new characters that are somehow connected to the overall story? You just never know. And that sense of surprise, that sense of not being able to predict what the experience is going to be was exciting for me as a reader. Would the focus be on Dream himself? Would the focus be on his siblings? Would the focus be on human people? Would it be fantasy characters or the mythology characters? The gods, the fairies, whatever. You just never know. I mean, so it's exciting in its scope and in its variety, and yet somehow still manages to tie it all together as one large story that feels cohesive, that feels consistent, even as it changes and does so many different things throughout the whole run. Book 10 served as an epilogue of sorts. It answers some questions. It ties up some loose ends. It's a really nice send-off. I was very satisfied. It was much needed after the huge emotional climax of Book 9. If you care about stories, I feel like this is a must-read. If you like Neil Gaiman, I feel like this is a must-read. I would say that this is a series that rewards patience and attention. Not to say that the stories along the way aren't entertaining. I found them to be very entertaining and engaging. But I think the true payoff of this series comes as things build and as things accumulate, as the characters continue to develop and grow and the relationships deepen, and as all these different elements connected, crash together in this huge emotional way. So if you can't tell, I highly recommend this series. Have any of you read it? What did you think? Let me know.